Welcome back to the Tennessee Frugal Craftsman. It's been about a week or more since I posted, and I just wanted to bring you up to date as to why that is the case. I have been struggling in and out of the doctor's office for the past, since Monday. So today is Saturday, so it's the 9th or 10th of April. Look at I guess it's the 9th, Saturday the 9th. But when I was salvaging some brick last Saturday, off of one of the buildings here locally that's going to be torn down, I actually aggravated an old injury I had in my back. I'd hurt it probably 3-4 weeks earlier, maybe 3 weeks. And I had been working through it and everything was going okay. I just had to be careful. But it was the repetitive moving back and forth, loading and unloading brick, that kind of threw me over the edge. And so I have been struggling with a lot of back pain, and so I've been kind of out of commission. So this is my first day back on the property. I'm not really doing much. As you can see, I'm actually sitting here. But I am going to do some small things around, I can just hobble around and do a few small things, not overdo it, so I can get recouped. But I did want to point out a couple things that I have come up with to help, one of the main things I should say to elongate or lengthen the length of life for your blade. A lot of the issue with dulling a blade on these band saws is obviously when you get into the bark and you get into all of the dirt and stuff in the bark. And if you're anything like me, when I'm hauling them out of the woods, especially in the spring of the year, you get a lot of the dirt catching in that really coarse bark, especially if you're dealing with pine. Like that's what I've got yellow pine here, and so it's really coarse in the bark, and it picks up everything. And of course, when you start to go cut, that's what your blade is going to hit, and it's going to dull your blade really quickly. Well, I've been using wire brushes. I was watching some of you use wire brushes, and I thought, well, that's what I will use. And so I was picking them up at Lowe's for about $5-6 a piece, but they don't last any time when you're working in that really coarse brush or really coarse bark. And so I figured there had to be a better way. I tried getting an attachment for my cordless my cordless gun that will much like a drill. Well, that worked somewhat, but it was really, really dusty, and it took a long time actually to do a log. And so while most of my logs I try to be careful with, what I have found is that it's still, you still have to deal with getting that dirt out of that deep section of the log. So I come up with something different. As I used to, like I said, I was a carpenter by trade, and I had something in my toolkit here, and I got it out the other day, and I have found this works really great. Now, some of you out there may already be using these, and so it's not nothing new to you. But for those of you who maybe be thinking about how do you get kind of an inexpensive way to get a lot of that dirt off the log, that you're not buying these wire brushes about every 3 or 4 logs. And so what I'm actually using, and I'll just grab it here, come around. What I'm actually using is a paint scraper. And those paint scrapers will actually, and you can see where I've been doing a little bit of work here. I'll get up and show you how this works. But just using a paint scraper on this, try to do this with one hand and show you how this works. But it'll go fairly quickly, and it'll get right down in the grooves. If you turn it kind of on its edge, it'll go right down in the grooves, and you can scrape off a lot of that excess dirt. Now, obviously, you're not going to get everything, but you're going to get a lot of the stuff that has rocks in it and whatnot. And so I found that little trick right there does a great job on getting that dirt out. Like, you can even scrape any of the knots and whatnot and get the dirt off of that. But it takes me about maybe 5 or 6 minutes per log if I have a lot of dirt on it. I just run down, and this is a shorter log. It's only like a 10-foot log, but this had a lot of dirt on it. But yeah, it works fairly nicely. And like I said, if you're looking for longevity, you know, you can get a paint scraper just for a few dollars, and these things will last basically the lifetime, especially in this stuff. I've had this one probably for 20 years. But when I'm done, you know, now I can just roll the log on and do my work. So hopefully that'll help you if you're looking for something to lengthen the life of your blade. That will get rid of a lot of that loose debris. So let's go over here and sit back down for a minute. I've got these 3 small logs. This one's only like a 10-foot. This one's a 9-foot. Then I've got one about a 6-foot. You can see it there, about a 6-foot. I guess probably a 5.5 foot log. And then I'm going to do a separate video when I mill this one out. I've got a special, I've been thinking about this the last few days, and I've got a special function for that log there. And if you're ever in a situation where you got butt logs that you want to, you know, not sure what to do, this one is about 36 inches. But if you've got something like that, I mean, don't chop them up, don't throw them away. I'll show you how to, you know, salvage and make some pretty good lumber out of that. So, yeah, that's my plan. I'm just going to kind of tinker away here today. I don't know whether I'm going to do any milling. Might try to get this one rolled up on just to see how it works. As long as my back holds out, like I said, I'm not going to push it. But I just was sitting here, and the other day I had come up with this idea for scraping the logs, and it seems to work well. And so if that's helpful to you, great. If not, well, you can forget it. But as always, I really appreciate you joining me and staying with me, even when you don't see me on the channel for a few days. If I don't post every 3 or 4 days, it's usually something going on that is beyond my control, and this has been one of those situations that's been beyond my control. You can only do so much when your body's not functioning. So yeah, it's one of the joys of building, and I realize now why I left carpenter years ago, because it's really hard on the body. But milling, for any of you out there who know about the milling, that's even harder, especially when you're cutting the trees down and hauling them out and bucking them up and bringing them up, put them on a mill. It can take its toll on your body, but I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know, for those of you who are actually milling. And ideally, like I said, when you have a tractor and stuff like that to do stuff, it definitely helps a lot. But for me, it was something as simple as just repetitive motion, lifting. I wasn't lifting heavy brick. I was only taking a brick and a half at a time in each hand, like 1 brick or a half a brick in each hand. And that's all it took, that constant movement back and forth. And so I just aggravated that old injury. And so I'm hoping, now that I'm kind of on medication and stuff, I'm hoping that by the end of next week to be up and around a little bit more mobile and get back at it. But once I get these last 3 logs and that little butt cut milled out, I'm going to try to swing and start building and laying out my outbuilding. And so that will be the next probably 2 months job in my spare time at least. And I will follow that whole process of how I'm doing that. For those of you who are looking to, you know, how do you use your lumber, and what does it look like, and how does it come out in the long run? That will be the video series I'm sure you'll want to follow. And like I said, I really appreciate the fact that you are following along, and like and subscribe as always, as I say. One last thing I will show you here before I sign off. I didn't want this to be a long video, but the very last thing that I did before I was kind of knocked out of commission, I think I milled some of this stuff out on Thursday of last week. I had actually, I'm just going to turn the camera around here. I had actually milled out a bunch more of the 16s and a bunch more of the 12s, the 12 footers right over here. Those 12 footers, you could see them, they're kind of clear on the top there now. Those other ones on the bottom, those are ones I milled way back in the fall. I'm now starting to get into whatever I'm milling from this point on is going to be for the floor joists, for the rest of the house. And that one over there, like I said, I had milled out a bunch of these 2x10s, probably about $700–800 worth of 2x10s, and I had them laying down beside the stacks on each side. I had put them there. You can't see it, but it's behind the mill there. I stack them, and then I just have to lift them up onto the stacks as I treat them. I treat them with borax. There was no way I was going to be able to do it, and I laid in bed here one night, and I said I thought, how am I going to get that done? And I was talking to my wife the next day, and she said, well, I'll go out and do that, take a couple of our kids with us. And well, I said, I'm not sure you can do that, that's pretty heavy. And she come out, and I'm telling you, it took them a couple hours, but they got all of that stuff treated and stacked up there, and now it's all nice and drying. I was concerned about them being down next to the ground because of the bugs and stuff, but I'm telling you, it's always nice to have a second set of hands and a third and fourth set of hands with kids. But I was very, very happy to get that stuff done, and so I will cut the video now and just thank you for being with me, and I hope and pray that by this time next week that that things will be up and running. So until next time, thanks for joining, and if you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. I'm on my way as far as my subscriptions, but I need a lot more. And so if you haven't subscribed, please do that. I'd really appreciate it. And so until next time, you have a great day, and may God be with you.